Hello, hello. Hey, MashUp family. This is Jerry, and
This is
here
Brian.
we
Hey
go.
y'all, I'm back.
It's been glad to see you back, man. Glad to see you back.
My lord, this sickness tried to take me out last week, but I'm back.
Praise the Lord. Praise
My
the Lord.
God.
Praise the Lord. You got a recovery. You got a testimony.
Woo,
Mm,
woo,
so
woo.
grateful.
That means
So grateful.
I'm still here because we got more work to do.
We have more work to do. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So I am so excited that you are back here today. I feel like I've been here for like a couple of weeks. I had to do it by myself.
Holding it
But
down. We appreciate
you
you.
know, I had to hold it down, but it's all right.
Yes.
It's all right. And the devil was messing with me today. My mic didn't seem like it want to get working, but it's all right. We got everything together. I think we're doing well. But I'm excited about the topic that we have today. We are going to talk about the decriminalization of HIV today.
Ooh, it's gonna
This
be a
is
good
a
topic. It's gonna be a
this is
good
a deep,
topic.
a deep topic, and we have a special guest who is joining us today. The lead attorney from the ACLU, Mr. Jeff Preptit, who will be joining us and talking about the case that he brought against the state of Tennessee to in the fight against this effort. But before we do that, of course, we got some housekeeping business to take care of, and we'll go through those real quick. Brian, you want to start off and tell the people what's happening this month or what's happening right now?
Yes, look, we have a lot of great things coming on the books for this year. But let's start with August. This very weekend, our Timeless Jewels group. So our Timeless Jewels is our group specifically curated for our 50 plus LGBTQ population. Now, I did have a question today, Jerry. Someone called and said, "Well, if I'm a white LGBTQ person, can I still come?" Absolutely, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Listen, mashup. We always say our priority is making sure that we're taking care of people of color, but all of our events, anything that we do, is inclusive of everybody. And also, we don't do ageism, and so even if you're under the age of 50, you can still come fellowship with our Timeless Jewels group this weekend on Saturday. August the 17th from 4 to 7 p.m. We will have a game night. It will be at our board member Village Keepers house, Luane Childry. And if you go on our Instagram page, on our Facebook page, you'll see a flyer for it and you'll click the link in the bio. Go ahead and register so we know that you're coming so we can make sure we have enough food for you, okay? But that will be this Saturday from 4 to 7 p.m. And then next Thursday, we have an exciting event that's going to happen on Thursday, August the 22nd. It is going to be a collaborative event with us and Vive Healthcare, where it's an event is called Reclaiming Our Voice.
Yes.
It's going to be a free event. We want you all to come out. We're going to have food, but we're also going to have some great conversations with some community leaders, reclaiming our voice in research because we need to be represented in research. There's been many years, dating back over 100 years in the United States, where we know that research hasn't been too kind to our people. And what we're doing through this event is we are reclaiming our voice, bringing our voices back to the table, stating what it is that are our concerns, advocating for our own health. And advocating for our own health means, excuse me, that we need to be involved. And that leads me to my next point to talk about one of the great things that we are involved in, which is the All of Us research program, which I don't know if you're going to show the commercial.
I got a commercial.
Well, we gonna get into the commercial because we want y'all to be excited about what we're doing here. So, Jerry, if you want to go ahead and jump in the commercial, I think that covers us for the month of August.
Okay.
Precision medicine means getting the right, whether it be prescriptions or therapies to people to meet their individual needs. So instead of saying, hey, regardless of your ethnicity or background or a social standing, whatever, wherever you're at, they want to make sure that the medications and therapies that you get prescribed match you as an individual.
Right.
And they want to use this database to be able to draw that information from to say, hey, this is why we need this.
Yeah, because I mean, we know that all medications, all like treatments don't work for all people.
Right.
And I guess part of that is because we don't have enough research to actually know what may work for that particular group or ethnicity or subsect of people.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and people who are historically underrepresented in research, like you just said, there's a lack of data there. And so bringing in and saying, hey, we want more LGBTQ plus people to participate in research. There's not enough data for us to be able to give that precision medicine approach for that group.
Gotcha.
So this is an initiative to bring in the data so that healthcare providers can give people the specific healthcare that meets their needs.
Period. And so you all saw about that. So if you're interested in joining the All of Us research program, feel free to reach out to Jared, myself, but you can also click the link in our bio or from our Instagram page. You can go to our website where we'll give you more information about how you can become a part and reclaim your voice. Okay. I think we also are still recruiting for our wonderful, amazing Mindful MashUp transformation program. This is a program that is free of charge, designed specifically for our community who are looking for a community, a therapeutic community, a safe community to come and talk about different issues that impact you. Also, like, specifically for people who are dealing with addictive behaviors, like whether you're smoking cigarettes, tobacco use, hookah. Now we know that hookah got a hold on us. The hookah got a hold on us. Listen, but if you're somebody who actually says, I want to quit, we have the resources for you. Again, go to our website, click the link in our bio, and we are looking for maybe about 5 more individuals. We got about 5 more slots where you can literally get free counseling service. We got another commercial to roll for that.
I think we may have something. I think we may have a little commercial.
Join us on a journey of self-discovery, growth, and empowerment. Don't wait. Seize the opportunity to transform your life today with the Mindful MashUp Transformation Cohort Program. Enroll now at www.mashupnation.org/transformation.
Maybe listen, MashUp TV is a production, okay? We better have commercials, period. I love it. Well, listen, let's not belabor it. Let's get into this topic because I know we got some people here who ready to hear our special guest.
Yes. So we're not gonna belabor it too long. We're gonna go ahead and bring Jeff in. Are you ready, Jeff? All right.
Do it. Hey, how y'all doing?
We are doing great. How are you doing?
We're out here living the dream.
Yeah. Jerry, you want to go give us a little bit more information about our guest, or you want to?
Jeff, I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot about you, brother. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself and tell us, what's the thing about ACLU, and I know you're the lead attorney on this case, but I just want to make you feel good because I wore my shirt today, especially for you.
Hey, I'm here for this.
But I just want to show solidarity. I am not practicing and I do not go to court, but I love the people who are out there fighting for us. And so, tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do at ACLU.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Jerry, Brian, thank you all so much for inviting me onto y'all's program to talk about the really important work that I and all the folks at ACLU Tennessee and ACLU National, as well as the Transgender Law Center, are doing. So to all the folks who are watching the stream, my name is Jeff Preptit. I am a staff attorney with the ACLU of Tennessee. And so the way that it's structured is we've got a state ACLU Tennessee affiliate here for the entire state of Tennessee, as well as ACLU National. And so this is really something that I've been working on really closely with the folks at the Racial Justice Project with ACLU National, as well as a great team of attorneys at the Transgender Law Center. And so we've really been boots on the ground, really helping to support a lot of the efforts that have already taken place before both our legal and political advocacy. But there's just a lot going on, and I'm super excited to share with you all sort of all of the work that we've been doing, where we are, where we're going, and what we hope to accomplish.
Okay, well, we're going to jump right into this conversation. Today's topic is about HIV criminalization, and we live in the state of Tennessee that has not been kind to people who have been impacted by HIV. We know. There have been a lot of challenges, and I know we're going to talk about that. But I'm sure it's been an uphill battle, I'm really just curious, to know how you did it, because we know that, like, on back in July of 2024, I believe that the case that you were a part of, where individuals who were sex workers actually were charged with very, very aggravated laws that made them had to register as sex offenders, making it very difficult for them to get jobs and to just live life like any other regular person, just because of their HIV status. So basically, let's just kick it off, because a lot of people don't even know, that are still just learning, that you all challenged the state of Tennessee and actually won. So can you just talk about that process, and like how you all were able to win against the state of Tennessee against portions of HIV criminalization?
Yeah, so really a lot of this effort came about by a lot of the work that folks at the Racial Justice Project at ACLU National were doing. So they identified a specific issue that we have here in Tennessee. So currently on the books within Tennessee's criminal statute, there is a Tennessee Code annotated 3913.516, which is the aggravated prostitution statute. And so what I want to do is I'm going to back up a little bit. So in the state of Tennessee, prostitution, just standard prostitution, is a B misdemeanor that carries a maximum possible penalty of 6 months in jail. If it's within 1,000 yards of a church or a school, it can then be elevated to an A misdemeanor, which carries a maximum of 11 months and 29 days in jail. So aggravated prostitution, which is on the books, is a C felony, which means that you could potentially be sentenced for a minimum of at least 3 years in jail, have your voting, be disenfranchised from your voting rights, as well as having to mandatorily be registered as a violent sex offender in the state of Tennessee. And so the only difference between prostitution and aggravated prostitution is a person's health status, whether or not they know of their HIV status. So aggravated prostitution is defined as, and I'm going to read directly from from Tennessee Code annotated. It says, a person commits aggravated prostitution when, knowing that such person is infected with HIV, that person engages in sexual activity as a business, or is an inmate in a house of prostitution, or loiters in a place for the purpose of being hired to engage in sexual activity. So essentially what that means is, if I'm a sex worker, I know that I am HIV positive, and I am simply present in an area that the police know a lot of sex workers and a lot of sex work activity takes place in. The police know that I'm HIV positive. Simply just being present in that place exposes me to then being prosecuted for a felony offense, and and if I'm successfully prosecuted, then having to be registered as a violent sex offender for the rest of my life. So really the only difference between prostitution and aggravated prostitution is a person knowing of their health status. Obviously, this is an incredibly backwards way of thinking about a person's health status. It directly disincentivizes people getting testing. It disincentivizes people getting access to preventative measures. And something that's really insidious about this statute as well is the fact that even if you are engaging in some kind of sex act, it does not matter what measures you've taken to protect yourself and protect the other individuals that you are engaging with, whether or not the sex act that you are performing actually poses any risk of transmission. None of that matters, specifically for the purposes of the aggravated prostitution statute. Now, luckily, we've had some great legislative and some great litigation wins in this fight. So one of the things that we were able to accomplish through our collaboration with a lot of the community-based organizations that are doing this work, both here in Nashville and in Memphis and across the state, again, as well as with the attorneys with the Racial Justice Project and attorneys with the Transgender Law Center, is that we were able to work to get SB 181 passed, and it took effect on July 1st. Now, essentially, what SB 181 has done is it has removed aggravated prostitution from being a sexual offense. So essentially, what that means is if an individual is living with an aggravated prostitution conviction on their record, previously before July 1st, they were a sex offender or a violent sex offender. Now, after July 1st, they are no longer a sex offender according to the Tennessee Code annotated. And so that provides a pathway for people to be removed from the sex offender registry. I want to be clear on this point, though. Simply because the law has changed does not mean that a person will automatically be removed from the sex offender registry. But through our litigation, we were able to come up with a partial settlement of the case. So the name of the case is Out Memphis versus Lee out of the Western District. So we sued the state of Tennessee in federal court in the Western District. And we had an organization called Out Memphis as our institutional plaintiffs, as well as 4 individual plaintiffs. We settled those 4 individual claims for the settlement. And so essentially, as part of the settlement, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has agreed to promptly, fairly, and efficiently facilitate the removal of people who are on the sex offender registry who petition to be removed. The TBI has also agreed to remove all people on the registry for AP convictions, and doing that on the front end to determine whether or not they're eligible, to mail letters to people advising them of their legal status change, and of what the removal process looks like, as well as informing local law enforcement agencies as well. Because we just want to make sure that we are setting up everybody across the state to be in the best possible position to be able to be removed and to continue living their lives. Because being on the sex offender registry really is prohibitive to a lot of things that we take for granted. I've had conversations with folks who have simply stated one of the first things that they are going to do after they've been removed from the registry is go to the park, sit on a bench, drink some water, and have a sandwich. It's things like that that they are prohibited from doing. And again, what's so insidious about this is that, especially as it relates to aggravated prostitution and the prior requirement that a person convicted of aggravated prostitution register as a violent sex offender for the rest of their lives, is that it disconnects them from their community. It restricts where they can work. It restricts where they can live. It restricts who within their family they can interact with as well. And so this really was a good win for the people of Tennessee and for those living with HIV. Because again, as we know, all of this was truly a strong disincentive for the things that people need to do and to have access to the resources that they need. Because what we know is that if you have limited economic opportunities, which being on the sex offender registry limits your economic opportunities, you are more likely to continue to fall into sex work. And that is not a slight on engaging in sex work. I think that we absolutely need to treat everybody with dignity, especially our sex workers, but also understand the reality of the context in which folks exist in, and providing those pathways and those opportunities to make sure that people have those opportunities. Now, there's a lot more work for us to do, and we're going to continue to do that. And so I've just thrown out a lot, and there's so much more that I can talk about, but let me pause and give everybody a chance to digest all of that and continue this conversation.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing that. And this conversation is so important. And I can, we have a lot of supporters here who understand the work we do, but I can imagine there may be someone listening who's trying to figure out, why are we advocating for people who are sex workers, who people who already have their own issues about people who do sex work and not even understanding, why people have gotten into sex work in the first place. And then it could be many different reasons, some of the barriers, to getting a regular job, because let's just say, someone who is trans already have a hard time, trying to get a regular job because, just because of who they are. And so, a lot of, people, have to turn to sex work. We here at Mashup believe in sex positivity. If that's how you had to get your coin, that's how you had to get your coin. And what I'm saying. And so, to further, put laws in place to, keep them from, thriving, in life when they're simply trying to survive, which, people can also consider survival sex. It's just not right, and
Um,
and so, we thank you for the work that you all are doing. I do have a question though, because I'm just, we think about Tennessee and we just think about, we already know how Tennessee is against certain groups of people. What did y'all even go in there and say to those people in the courtroom to even convince them to change, to at least to change this law? How did we get Governor Lee to sign off on this? Like, what did you say, man? What did you do?
Yeah, so it really was a massive collaborative effort because this is something
Hmm.
that we've seen across the state of Tennessee. And so I want to know, so you touched on something really important that I think is
Hmm.
really important to note, is that a lot of these laws, and specifically the aggravated prostitution law, it, as you stated, is rooted in anti-trans sentiment and really anti-blackness. Because what we
Mm.
saw, if you look at the numbers, the majority of people who have been prosecuted for aggravated prostitution are black trans women out of Shelby County, Tennessee, which is Memphis, Tennessee.
Hmm.
And so working with a lot of those organizations, but also understanding the effect that it has had for people who have been trafficked as well. In that people oftentimes who are trafficked into sex work are unfortunately live with HIV because of the abuse that they have suffered. Being able to work with organizations that work specifically with victims of trafficking, and being able to get the legislature to see how important that it truly is to provide pathways for individuals who are living with HIV was crucial, was vitally important. And so it really was rooted in a collaborative, nonpartisan, bipartisan effort to make sure that we are really shining a light on those who have been victims within the sex work industry and providing those pathways for folks.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I would like to. So I'm very passionate. We're very passionate, about being sex positive here.
Yes.
And It's something like even before my work with Mashup, I was passionate about. One of the my funny law school stories I like to tell people is that I wrote my law school thesis about like making sex work legal, on legalizing prostitution.
I
Just
didn't know that,
because,
Jerry.
yeah, you didn't know that.
I don't think you told me that.
Yeah, I feel like I brought it up before, but I think as a policy standpoint, it doesn't make sense. So
Mm.
people are going to have sex. People are going to use prostitutes. I mean, that is one of the oldest professions in the world, and it doesn't make you and people are going to engage in these services, and by making it illegal, you expose these people to so many different risks. And people who are participating in sex work, a lot of people are doing it because they don't really have much of a other choice, especially if you're a transgender woman. You may have a hard time finding jobs elsewhere. And it's one of the oldest professions in the world. And by making it illegal, they don't have proper access to healthcare. They, often get trafficked into human trafficking, or, pimps, things like that. They are often, victims of violence, and they're often picked on by law enforcement, and abused by them. So some of these people, their health is compromised because they don't have control, and they're not able to practice their professions in a safe space. We all want to work and have safe space, to do our work and to have health care, and we believe that sex workers are no different than that.
Yeah. And
100%.
so I want to just kind of dive in just to also just broadly speaking, while this conversation is important, and just really kind of talking about just the overall impact of criminalization laws in general. And so we know, even despite the victories that we've had, that the impact of like HIV criminalization laws on public health, we have to discuss this, because these laws basically continue to perpetuate a cycle of fear, a cycle
Yeah.
of misinformation, and really undermines like all of the efforts that those of us here doing the work. It undermines our efforts to reduce HIV transmission and really supporting people who are living with HIV. And of course, I have to re-emphasize that we know that these laws are set up to disproportionately criminalize Black people, LGBTQ plus people, and of course, sex workers. But I want to kind of shift a little bit to some of the remaining challenges. We talked about the successes, but we know like there are still challenges that we need to overcome with HIV criminalization laws. So, for instance, I believe that Tennessee, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, Tennessee laws still allow for people who are living with HIV, also hepatitis B or C, to be charged with a felony for just engagement in sexual activities without disclosing their status. Now, this conversation is important because this speaks to people who still don't understand that in today's time, HIV treatment has come so far that we have people who are literally living with HIV, they're thriving with HIV on their medications, who have their viral loads suppressed, which means, they're undetectable. And so, can you speak more to the ongoing challenges that we have still in the state of Tennessee with the laws that are still criminalizing people who, are engaging in sexual activities with people, but maybe not disclosing their status before they engage?
Yeah, so one of the challenges that we're continuing to face, and we still have pending ongoing litigation about, one is around the aggravated prostitution statute. Even though we've had a great win in being able to have people removed from the sex offender registry, and people who any pending cases of any person who's subsequently found guilty of aggravated prostitution won't have to be a registered sex offender. The fact of the matter is, it's still on the books, and we're still criminalizing people living with HIV. And what we see is that there is still a social stigma around folks living with HIV, especially around the state capitol. Even though that we've seen some really great things happening, there are also some not so great things happening at the state capitol as it relates to legislation around people living with HIV. And so you are right in that Tennessee still has a criminal exposure statute, which, similar to aggravated prostitution, it is not. It doesn't qualify as a registerable offense. But the fact of the matter is, we still have these regressive laws on our books. And again, what we know is that basic principles of epidemiology show that criminalization of a person's health status does nothing to stem the spread of it or to ensure that people are seeking treatment. What it does is it forces people to try and hide in the dark, and that is what we don't need. We want to make sure that people have access to the care that they need so that they can live long and full lives. And so there is a tremendous amount of work still to be done there. One thing that I do want to do is I very much want to praise Tennessee Representative Tory Harris out of Shelby County, because last year he brought, or last legislative session, he brought a bill that would have removed aggravated prostitution as a criminal offense, as well as providing a pathway for folks who have aggravated prostitution convictions to have their criminal record of that conviction be expunged. Unfortunately, that bill did not make it through committee, but we are continuing to engage and to really be pushing the envelope, and really showing that we need to be more compassionate and truly provide the opportunity and resources to our neighbors, because that's who we're talking about, is people who we live next to every single day. So we got to make sure that we're doing all that we can for them. So there are challenges, but there's still a great team of people who are working to achieve those goals. And I'm proud to be part of that team.
I love that. Well, Tori is one of our good friends, and so I can't wait to send him this clip where we gave him his flowers. But Jeff, can we talk a little bit about, how do we, as a community of people who support, you know, all those who are impacted by HIV and AIDS, particularly the Black LGBTQ community or people of color, how can we help our friend Tori, move this further along? Like, what steps can we take to ensure that these laws are dismantled? What do we need to do? How can we be involved? How can we bring all of this to an end?
Yeah, so there's a great coalition of organizations out of Shelby County and really across the state of Tennessee that have been
Mhm.
really deep and substantively engaged in this work. And so being able to connect with them, being able to connect with individuals like Representative Harris, who will be able to lead you to each of those individuals within those organizations who can help plug people in, to organize, to phone bank, to really put some pressure on these state legislatures to start really thinking differently on how we look at public health away from criminalization. Because again, criminalization is not public health. That's not how we stem the tide of a health epidemic that we've been experiencing. And so, really engaging in those resources and engaging in that advocacy grassroots organization, really, I think, is one of the most pivotal ways that we can continue to push the envelope and really continue to get that substantive change.
I love it. Is there any particular language we should be using as we're messaging, the change for these laws? What should we be saying?
Yeah, so the political realities in Tennessee are that different things matter differently to different people. So it sort of depends on who you're engaging with.
Hmm.
So making sure that we really are getting at the heart of these issues, and making sure that we are speaking with compassion, humanizing language, and realizing that because it's very easy for people to other those who are have different health statuses than the rest of
Hmm.
us. And recognizing that your health status doesn't define you,
Come
um,
on.
regardless of your ability level. That you are innately a person that has value not only to your community, not only to those who love you, but to society as a whole. And really being able to couch it in those really vital terms, I think, is one of the most powerful things that we can do.
And then another thing that we can do is you can vote. Okay,
Yes, yes,
because we are in election season.
yes.
Okay, and we know the people that we vote into office are the people that can be the voice that we need um,
Mhm.
at the Capitol. And so if you need to number one check and make sure that your registration is up to date, because I've been hearing in certain places that they've been removing people's voters registration. So go check and make sure that you are for sure registered to vote. And then when it's time to vote, we're gonna come pick you up and we're gonna take it to the polls because we need to make some change. Jerry, you got any one last question or two for our good friend Jeff? Any thoughts?
Well, I mean, first I wanted to just double down on the thing. Voting is important. Just like what, because especially in these local elections, these local. I mean, HIV criminalization, that is a state law. Those are state specific laws.
Hmm.
It matters who you are voting in as state senators, who your representatives are, who we're sending up to Nashville to go represent us. These people are the ones who are making the state laws, who are voting on them. Tory introduced the bill, which we appreciate, but we didn't have enough people, like-minded people, in the state legislature to help vote for that bill so it could pass because
Hmm.
didn't have enough representation there. It, the HIV is still criminalized in Tennessee, so it's important for us to get out there and vote and pay attention. So just want to double down on that first. I think Jeff, what other things are you doing at ACLU that you're really excited about? Because I know like this is probably one of your big cases and stuff. Like what else are you working on?
Yeah. So one thing in relation to this case that I really want to hit a point on is I also think one of the most important things that we can do is elevating those who are most affected and empowering them to elevate their voice and elevate their story and to
Yeah.
advocate on their behalf, because I think
Yeah.
there truly is such power in being empowered to be your own advocate. As an attorney, I'm classically trained on how to advocate for people and tell their stories, but the best advocate for a person is themselves.
Yeah.
So empowering people to do that, I think, is vitally important. There is so much going on here at the ACLU of Tennessee. Proud of all of the work that we are doing across the state, truly across the state, in the Eastern District, here in the Middle District, the Western District. As it relates to so many different issue areas, First Amendment related areas, such as making sure that people have the right to engage in their pride festivals, making sure that's not being infringed upon, making sure that we are holding local institutions to account in Shelby County, making sure that the make sure that the Memphis Police Department is doing what they need to do as it relates to the collection of First Amendment related intelligence and monitoring that. There's a lot of work that we are doing around bail reform and the new bail laws that Tennessee just enacted. Our legal director just filed a lawsuit in the Western District over that new law that's taken into place. We've also got a case that's primed to go before the Supreme Court as it relates to gender affirming care for minors. That's just a few of the things off the top of my head. There's at least three or four cases that I'm working on this week. That's we've got our hands full, but we are tight. Truly, I work with some amazing people. I think we are truly titans in this game. No pun intended, being here in Nashville. But yeah, we've got a great team of attorneys, really everybody at the affiliate working to make sure that we're protecting people's civil liberties across the state. And to anybody who's got any issues, feel free to reach out. We are more than willing to have any conversations or connect you to any resources that we can.
Yes.
I
That's
love
beautiful.
it. Listen, this has
Thank you.
been a wonderful, amazing conversation. And I don't know if you see behind me, that is Bayard Rustin. And I had to come sit over here today to have Bayard Rustin behind me because he had a quote where he said, "If you believe that the treatment of persons living with HIV is an important social justice and civil rights issue, take action." That's a quote from Bayard Rustin. And so we're gonna leave on that note that we are going to take action. We're gonna keep talking about this. We're gonna show up. We're gonna vote. Make sure that you're registered to vote, and if you're not, get registered to vote. And listen, any kind of way that we can continue to support what you got going on, Jeff, let us know because I'm so proud that it was a brother that made that happen here in Tennessee. I'm just so proud of you, man. And okay, all that. Thank you. Amen. And listen, that is our show. If you liked our show, please share the video and let us know in the comments that you liked it. Jeff, we appreciate you so much. We know you're a busy person, but thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
taking the
much.
time to come speak to our audience. And I feel like we learned a lot.
We
Perfect.
did.
Thank you all for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so
Awesome. Have a
much.
great week, you all.